Hi, I'm Dr. John Grazel, the Baha'i Chair for World Peace at the University of Maryland. And this clip is another one of our series that discusses the concepts of foundational principles of global governance, which you can learn more about by visiting our website, foundationalprinciplesmonitor.org, and learning on a constant basis what's happening in the world today in terms of a key core set of foundational principles that we believe are in play and are of particular importance. The one I want to discuss today, however, is a cluster, and we cluster these to be able to manage them, and we call it the rights and responsibility cluster of foundational principles. Now, let me go through the ones we handle under that. The first one we handle is the concept of human rights. Now, we know human rights is discussed everywhere, and more people are claiming various things about human rights. And this is the idea that there are particular types of behaviors or claims that people have a right to make and expectations they have a right to expect to be fulfilled by dint of being human beings per se. And certainly this goes back to the American Revolution, and it goes back before the American Revolution, because the American Constitution itself drew upon a long and deep history of philosophy about human rights. And it comes out of very religious ideas about what it is for a human being to be a human being, what it is to have justice. But this is a key group that we're looking at. Now, at the same time, what's unique about this cluster is we have to look at another element called human responsibilities. We hear a lot about human rights. We're beginning to hear a little more about the foundational principle of human responsibility. And this basic foundational principle says, as a human being, I have responsibilities that I have to fulfill. And in fact, when we look at it, and this is why the cluster is called rights and responsibilities, the idea is that each of these are dependent upon the others. If I have a right, then somebody has to fulfill it, or some organization or some entity has the responsibility. If they don't have the responsibility, then do I really have a right, or do I really only have a claim or an aspiration? Only because if somebody else has the responsibility and I can actually make the claim and obtain it, can we really say I have a right? But conversely, do I have a right without responsibilities? And the foundational principle of personal responsibility says no. With each right comes a responsibility. And we'll discuss that and what the responsibilities are. But then we have other interesting ones. We have, in addition to personal responsibility, an idea of group responsibility. Can we talk about a group of people being responsible? And people are. They say groups of people are responsible as members of a group for certain things. In many cases, it's for past historical behavior on the part of other members of the group. But the idea that we have group responsibilities is more and more an important element, especially in global governance, where we are very much engaged in trying to reconfigure who are the key players in the group, not only individually, but in terms of key groups. Now, another foundational principle we're looking at in the rights and responsibility is corporate responsibilities. And this is a very interesting one because it deals with corporations, which really are a legal fictitious entity. We have businesses, but the fact that we give them an existence that's called corporation and gives them rights as corporations has also now engendered the idea that, like human beings, they have corporate responsibilities. And in fact, this foundational principle is very much in play. And as I speak today, we have a tremendous oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico, and we're just seeing how much it is in play. And we're going to see a lot of impetus, I believe, to increase its importance. And that's what the Foundational Principle Monitor precisely is about, to track the changes that are going to come. Now, on the other hand, as I said, there are group rights and there are corporate rights. But one other group of rights that we're looking at is animal rights. Now, for people who believe in animal rights, and there are many and they believe in it very fervently, this is not a laughing matter. There are other people who come out of another mindset who still haven't equated the idea of animals and having rights as somehow exactly legitimate. And of course, this goes back to what we track, which is what's the authority behind it? Is it logical? Is it humanistic? Is it spiritual? Is it religious? And we'll be discussing separately what are the backgrounds for animal rights. But it actually is a very powerful new movement closely tied to a whole series of larger environmental rights, which in fact at the moment we're not dealing with because they are so large and so much in a world of their own and being handled by so many people that we're not particularly focusing on them at the moment. So we're going to look at animal rights, though, as a foundational principle and see how that would change global governance. So I welcome you to join our site and look at all these and see how they're playing their way out, and join with us as we try to track how the world is trying to get its act together to govern itself in a sane, sustainable, and hopefully prosperous and enlightened, spiritually as well as material way in the 21st century. Do join us, foundationalprinciplemonitor.org.